So it happened. Your girl is pregnant.
I know that's right.
Oh my gosh. And I couldn't be happier. You've been following along. You've been watching the videos. I'm sure you saw that one vlog where I literally was just like breaking down to my therapist about the experience of trying to be pregnant. And it just came to a head. So, yep, this is my third morning in a row crying. And where I was just talking about pregnancy and how I want to get pregnant, but came to realize quickly in the process that it's not as easy as we once thought it was. I know we grew up thinking if you look at a boy, you're gonna get pregnant. So it's crazy to kind of look back on those and just see it's still relatively new, honestly. The fact that like it's happening, it's here. And I am, as of this video, I am 13 weeks pregnant. And so that means I am finally out of the first trimester. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually show you the little announcement video that we put together. And then we can get into this tea on how the first trimester went, how I found out, how I shared it with David, all that good stuff.
Saw your face in your father's case. There's a long line of hands carrying your name, lifting you up so you will be raised. Even though I know someday you're gonna shine on your own, I will be your protector. Yeah. And even though I know someday you're gonna shine on your own, I will be your protector, born to be a protector.
So I literally had an entire like plan in mind when it came to like finding out I was pregnant, sharing my pregnancy news with David. Like I really wanted to film the entire thing and make it like a thing that I was going to also include on my YouTube channel because, you know, as a creator, like this is how we think. You know, obviously, yes, it's a sentimental moment, but I'm also thinking about like how can I document it and like have it as a memory forever. But ended up not recording anything. I did not record like the day that me and David both found out or like, you know, the process beforehand. I think the first time that I thought I was pregnant, and that was back in January. So my period completely skipped January. And then all of a sudden on February 7th, I got my period. I hate crying on camera, but I think it's important that I just share the full experience. So I'm just annoyed because I got my hopes up. My period was late, like extremely late. Like I didn't even get a period in January. And like, although, you know, I didn't really have any symptoms, like just a few things here and there. I really got my hopes up. You know, I got my hopes up. I thought that this was the time, and I'm just like frustrated because they make it seem like, I don't know, I feel like my entire growing up, if my mom found out I was breathing near a boy, she would think I was pregnant. You know, so you go through your life thinking that pregnancy is so easy and that it just happens right away, but it's like when you want to get pregnant, it's just like not happening. So I got my period this morning. I don't even know if I even got to that point, but to say that, but yeah. Or not this morning, but I just got my period. Like I was sitting at the desk and I was feeling crampy and I got my period and I'm just like so annoyed. I'm like, but why did my period have to be 8 days late? Couldn't I have just gotten my period like regular instead of getting my hopes up? You know, like it's just so annoying. But whatever, we'll just try again another month and hopefully things work out next time. This was like one of the few things that I did record, and I think in that process I was like, you know what, just go on this journey, take your time, take a breather, don't put so much pressure on yourself, and then when it happens, it'll happen, and then you'll be able to share it with your community and the people who care about you. So I was devastated. I was really upset because I literally went an entire month with no period. And that for me hasn't happened in a very, very long time, because my period usually comes like clockwork, especially now that I've been off of my birth control. I haven't had an IUD for over a year now. So I was like, what is going on? And then when it came late, it was just like a brown color at first, and then it went to red. So I don't think that I had like a miscarriage or a chemical pregnancy. I think that, I don't know if it was stress or if it was just, I don't know, changing hormones because of the fact that we were trying. I don't know what it was entirely, but for some reason my period just completely skipped January. And so I got my period, and I was upset, but at this point, that was about 3 months into trying to get pregnant, trying to conceive. And I had been tracking my period and tracking my potential ovulation through an app. And it's still one of my favorite apps. I still love it. It's called Flow. And it's a really great app for you to track. And it gives you like a really good estimate of when you're ovulating, when your period is due, all those things, especially when you're trying to conceive. And what I did was I realized, because people had told me about, like, you need to use ovulation strips, you need to get some ovulation strips and an ovulation test kit. And I was just like, I just don't want to add this to my routine and like put myself under the pressure of having to, take these ovulation strips constantly. But if you're trying to conceive, you're in your mid-30s like I am, it doesn't come as easily, and you need to have like a very accurate picture of when you're ovulating, because we literally only get 12 shots to get pregnant a year. And it's not like we have the entire month to get pregnant. It is around the time when you're ovulating, that's when you get pregnant. So I was like, all right, fine. This 4th month, I was like, let me get one of these ovulation kits. And I was like, I'm going to do the best one, the most fancy one. I'm not doing no strip. I'm doing the digital kit, the highest end. So I got the clear blue, I think it was like called the clear, I threw it out now, but I got the clear blue advanced ovulation test kit. And so that kit was essentially just like, it's like a stick. It's a stick, and it comes with like, it's a digital stick. It kind of looks like a pregnancy test, and it comes with like a bunch of other like, sticks that insert in it. And basically what you're supposed to do is, after your period, you're going to go, and they have like a little calendar, and it tells you, depending on how many days your usual cycle is, like if you have a cycle that's 25 days, which means that like from the start of your first period to your next period, it's all encompassing 25 days or 30 days, 35 days, whatever it is. They give you specific days in which you're potentially around your ovulation window. So when I got to that point where I was around my ovulation window and I had to start using the ovulation kit, then what you have to do is you pee on the stick, and you put one of the inserts in, you pee on it, or you dip it, you pee into a cup and then dip it. I did that because I was like, this is just more accurate. I don't know about y'all, but my pee just be going everywhere. So I didn't want to have too much on the stick. I didn't want to have too little. So I was like, I'm just going to dip it so I can get it more accurate. So I had like these red Solo cups, literally like a pack of red Solo cups in my bathroom every morning, because you have to do your very first pee, because that's like the most pure, and like that one really can like, it's not tainted by like, drinking water throughout the day or whatever. So I would dip the stick, and after a few minutes, it would let you know if this was low fertility, high fertility, or peak fertility. So a low fertility day, that means like, it's just another day. You're not close to your ovulation just yet, and you can keep testing. High fertility means that your day of ovulation is coming. So this is around the time where you should probably start to, shack up. I don't know if I can say the sex word, but, have sex with your partner, just in case, because something that I did learn throughout this process is that sperm can live in the body for a few days. So, if you have sex on like a Monday, you don't ovulate till Wednesday, you can still still potentially get pregnant. So what the high fertility day does is tell you like, all right, so, you know, get it on. It might be happening sometime soon. And then if you get peak fertility, that means that you are ovulating that day or within like the next 24 hours. And this is like, it's crunch time. You got to make sure that like you've had sex within the past few days or you're doing it today. So I hadn't said the word. Hopefully YouTube don't ban me. Or, you know, it's you got to get it on right away. So when the last vlog where you saw where I was like freaking out, the one like right before Belize where I was like crying to my therapist, that was actually the week, that was like at the beginning of the week when I was my first time, like, because I actually at that point I had been taking the ovulation strips for like, it was like a week and a half that I had been doing this stupid thing of like peeing in the morning, peeing in the cup, pushing the ovulation strips in there, seeing. I had low fertility for days. And then finally, I think like a few days before, I had high fertility, but it was just high fertility for literally like 5 days. It was like nonstop high fertility. I did not get like peak fertility. And so like that Monday, I was just so upset because I was like, what does this mean? Because, you know, sometimes due to like certain factors, you don't ovulate every single month, you know, whether it's stress. I don't want to be a doctor, so I don't want to give all the, you know, whatever, but there are certain reasons as to why you may not have ovulated. And so I was like, am I not ovulating this month? Does this mean that like I thought that I was ovulating and I haven't been this entire time? And so I just started thinking about all different scenarios, everything, and I was just like freaking out. So that was the Monday. And then that Tuesday, and in this time, you know, me and David had, you know, we had done what we needed to do leading up to then. So on the Monday, I just like was like crying. And then on that Tuesday, I tried again, and again, it was still just high fertility, not peak fertility. And at that point I started crying again, but I was crying in the shower, and David happened to walk into the bathroom and he was like, what is going on? And so I told him, I was like, I still haven't gotten to peak fertility. And I was just like so upset. And David was like, we're shutting it down. We're done. You're done with these ovulation kits and this peeing thing until next month or until we decide further, because it's stressing you out way too much. And he was like, I can't see you like this. Like, it hurts me to see you like this. So no, we're done. So I didn't take any more of those ovulation kits. I didn't do any more for the rest of that week. My theory is that I probably did end up ovulating or like getting peak if I had kept doing it that like Wednesday or Thursday. And so because I ended up, you know, we traced back, obviously I know what my weeks are. And somehow that week when I took that video, that was the week that I got pregnant. So we'll just leave it there. That is a story on how I got pregnant. Some things that I did, I guess, you know what, I'm gonna do another video where I'm just talking about like the things that I did, like acupuncture, making sure that like I actually was not drinking around the time where I knew I was gonna ovulate. Like I was really doing a lot of things to just make sure that my body was ready for conception, that I think were helpful. But I'm gonna do another video where I do like a deep dive into that. Let me know in the comments if that's a video of interest, and then I'll definitely do it. That was around the time where I guess I got pregnant. So not allegedly, I was pregnant in Belize, and I did not know that I was pregnant in Belize. The poor baby, I did drink in Belize, so the poor baby was swimming in mezcal, Belizean rum, whatever we was sipping on while we were out there. Thankfully though, it was like real little. So it was able to survive through the drunkenness. And I actually should have known that I was pregnant, because when I got back from Belize, when I tell you how tired I was, I have never been that fatigued. And I was like tired and I was irritable. Like one of my best friends, she was texting me, asking me about how Belize was. And like, I just was like not trying to talk to her. Like I was just being a complete bitch. And I just was like, ugh, like leave me alone. And I was just so tired. I literally like slept for like two and a half days after Belize. And I was just like, this is crazy. Like that trip wasn't that wild for me to be sleeping for days. It's not like we went to Vegas. It's not like I was out with my Howard friends who like OD on drinking and stuff. Like when we get together, we get rowdy. Like I wasn't, it wasn't one of those trips. I was just like, why am I so tired? But I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought, you know what? I'm tired. I had a busy week. And as you know, I had like that crazy day where I had, where I had all my appointments. I had to pack. I had to go to an event. And then I didn't finish packing until like 1 a.m. So I was thinking that might have contributed to it. So whatever, business as usual at that point. I knew my period was supposed to come within a few weeks, and I was checking my app, my Flow app, just to see, and it tells you like, okay, if your period is supposed to come during this time. If you don't get it, this is the day when you're supposed to take a pregnancy test. And I had followed these guidelines the month before, right? When I found out that I was not pregnant because I kept getting negative test after negative test after negative test. And so this time, like leading up to it, I didn't get my period. My period was not anywhere to be found. A week passes and I'm just like, Lord, I was like, I don't want to go through this again. I was just like nervous. I was like, oh gosh. Is this another fluke? Is this going to be the same as in, January and February situation? Because at this point we're in March and I'm like, is it going to be the same thing? And so we're getting down to the wire, like close to the day where I have to take the test. And so that week I was kind of just like, oh, but I also was like business as usual. I decided to not be so like strict on myself. I was like, I'm just going to take it a day at a time. If we have to try again, next month, that just so be it. So it was the night before I had to take the test and my pregnancy test. And I decided to have a glass of wine. Let me backtrack, because this is really when I should have known, outside of the fatigue. My friends and I, the weekend before, it was like some really close friend, like our usual close friend group, Twyla, Terrence, like Erica and Jason, like, the home team, the 6 of us who always get together. And we went to this thing called Spyscape and spent the whole day together. Then we went out for some like really nice, beautiful cocktails. And after that, we had dinner with wine and they came back to the house. And so obviously we all had quite a few cocktails. And I took a shot because the bartender like gave us a shot, and had some wine with dinner. But when we got home, I was just like, I am so like drunk right now. Like I can't drink anymore. And my friends had wine, but I was done. And I woke up in the middle of the night. This is gonna be TMI, but you family, so but I woke up in the middle of the night, and let me tell you, I was just like, that nauseous feeling. It's like where I felt like I was standing outside in the desert, where I felt dehydrated, hot, dizzy, lightheaded. And I just like ran to the bathroom, and I thought that this is a lot. I thought that I had to throw up, but right before I was about to throw up, I was like, oh no, it's coming out the other end. So I used the bathroom, I was done. And when I was done with that, I then actually did throw up. And I was just like throwing up, heaving. And David was like, are you okay? And I was just like, oh, I don't know. But this was like, we had a few drinks. It wasn't it sounds like a lot, but it wasn't as much as what would warrant me to throw up, because I don't generally throw up after drinking unless I'm like drinking something really gross and going like shot for shot, like going crazy. Which is very rare. So I didn't really think anything of it. I was just like, oh, didn't really like how I felt. So I just kind of relaxed the next day. Fast forward to the night before I have to take my pregnancy test. I had a glass of wine. And as I was sipping the wine, I wasn't feeling that great. I was feeling a little bit crampy, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, my period is definitely coming. Like, I just felt like my period was coming, and I was kind of bummed, but I was like, you know what? It is what it is. And I just had like this tiny little glass of wine. Now, if I had known that I was going to find out I was pregnant, I would have had something way better than like some end of the bottle wine. But that's, neither here nor there. So the next morning I wake up and I'm just like, I really don't want to take this test because I don't want to like be sad. It was like a beautiful day outside. David was, I was going with, David and I were going to go to brunch, and then we were going to go and get a new tattoo for him. Like he had a tattoo appointment. So so I was just like, whatever. I was like, I have to pee. So it has to happen now or never. So I go in my closet because I have like an arsenal of pregnancy tests in there because I, was going a little overboard the month before. So I go in the bathroom and I told David, I was like, all right, I'm about to go do it. I'm going to take the test, hang tight. So he's like, all right. And I told him I was like nervous. And so I go in the bathroom, and when I tell you, when I peed on that stick, and I peed on both the sticks, and before I could even like put the stick down on the counter, it was already like both the lines showed up strong. And then in like 2 seconds after that, because I did one regular test and then one digital test, and I mean, immediately said pregnant. At that point, I was like, because I had, like I said, I wanted to record this moment where I told David, but I was just so in shock and just so like what? It happened, like it really happened, that I like immediately was like, babe, I'm pregnant. I was like, or I said, are you, I don't even remember what I said, but it was something like, or like, I made a noise. And then I was like, I'm pregnant. And I like opened the door. Mind you, I can't see. I'm so mad at myself because I didn't have my contacts in. My glasses were at the bedside. I don't know why I went to do a pregnancy test with no vision, but I couldn't see anything. And so I like opened the door. It's kind of dark in the room because we had the blinds closed. And I'm like, babe, I'm pregnant. And he was like, what, seriously? And I was like, yes. So he's like fumbling to get out the covers, and he like jumps up and runs to the bathroom. And I'm like, I'm just in shock. And so he looks at it and he is just like, wow. And he is just quiet. Y'all know David is a man of few words. So he was just like, wow. And he was just like, just shaking his head. And I got as close as I possibly could to him because I wanted to see his eyes. And y'all know I was blind. So I wanted to see his eyes, and he didn't cry. David does not, he doesn't like cry with, tears coming down his eyes. But his eyes did well up with some tears, and they were red. And it was definitely like a special moment. And I think it was even more special. I really wanted to record it, but I think both of us just being shocked, being surprised, and just like embracing each other, and just like the joy that we felt, and like true surprise in that moment, because my hopes were low. He didn't know what was going on, child. But he just didn't want me to be sad anymore. Yeah, it was just such a beautiful and surreal moment. And he was so happy. I was like, how do you feel? And he was like, I'm really happy. And I was just like, okay, good. Like he felt so happy. I felt so happy. And it was honestly one of the more beautiful days that we had. I should have probably waited and checked on Sunday because we went to brunch and I couldn't have any mimosa. And it was like a beautiful sunny day. It's a day where I wanted a mimosa. But yeah, we went to brunch and we were just holding hands, and we were just like, it was great. We didn't tell anyone that day. It was just like our little secret. It was very similar to when we got engaged, which I loved, because I told him I did not want to get engaged with like a crowd of people and everybody around, and being distracted by having to talk to everyone and da da da. So it was just like our little secret for the day. And yeah, it was just so beautiful, like really, really a beautiful day. And it makes me so happy just thinking about it. So literally the day after, or maybe that same day, I can't remember, I made an appointment. I decided to switch my OB, and I had done some research like prior to this on who I wanted my new OB to be, because the original one, she was like, if you don't get pregnant in 6 months, then you're infertile and we're gonna need to and just like really made it like a dire circumstance and just stressed me out even more. And I think that's why I was so stressed throughout the process, because I was like, if I don't get pregnant right away, so I switched my OB, I made an appointment, but at that point, what I thought, once I put the information into Flow, my last period, all of that, I was supposedly 5 weeks pregnant at that point. Because what I didn't know is the first 2 weeks of pregnancy you haven't actually conceived yet, because they count it from the first day of your last period. So, if you really want to get technical, I was at that point like 3 weeks conceived, but 5 weeks pregnant based on my last period. So the earliest appointment was not for 3 more weeks at the new OB. And I was like, ugh. So we had to wait 3 weeks and finally went in to see the OB. I was crazy and I took a few pregnancy tests in between just to make sure I was still pregnant. I'm a little paranoid if you can't already tell. And so 3 weeks after that, we had our first OB appointment with our new OB, and we heard the heartbeat for the very first time. And that was a beautiful experience.
So uterus. Pregnancy. We're going to zoom in because we're looking at right here.
Oh, very small.
Something there. Yeah, just small. I'm going to get close to it in a second.
Okay.
You're feeling me squeeze your leg just a little bit so I can stay stable. It's a heartbeat.
Fast heartbeat
Very
like mine.
robust. Yes. It's excellent. Very robust. Give me a second.
Okay.
We are going to... Heartbeat's great, 148. So normally we see 120 to 160. 148 is perfect.
Oh,
You really can't ask for more. And then this is the long profile. How many weeks did you get, Simran? If you
8 and 1.
8 and 1?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're a little earlier. Let's keep looking.
During this appointment, the OB was doing some measurements. As you can see from the video, she was doing some measurements, and although according to my last period, I was supposed to be 8 weeks at that point, I was actually 7 weeks. And I think it might have been because my period had skipped the month before, and so it kind of got like thrown off whack. So I think that's what threw off my last period and when it was actually supposed to be there. So I was 7 weeks at that point. And and it's just been great. And in terms of the first trimester, I actually didn't have that much nausea. I think I went through each symptom like week by week. So I had 1 week where I had like a lot of nausea, and then I had another like 2 or 2.5 weeks where I had really bad food aversion and food anxiety. So like I didn't want to eat anything. I was reading too much about like what you can't eat, what you can't have, and I was freaking myself out, and everything that I ate, like nothing tasted good. I wasn't satisfied. I just wasn't hungry, and I like hated food for like 2.5 weeks, which was miserable. It was terrible. But for the most part, and at the beginning, my boobs, oh my gosh. When I tell you my boobs were so sore, I felt like I was going through puberty again. Oh my gosh, like it was crazy. My boobs were sore for most of the first trimester. I was also extremely fatigued. Like I have never in my life been that tired. I'm somebody who doesn't drink coffee. I'm not really like a caffeine person. I'm naturally filled with energy and like have energy. And I was so tired. Thankfully, work was really slow. So I was able to, for literally like 2 weeks, that's why I hadn't been posting YouTube videos. I'm dead because my last video was like, please watch my non-hair videos and tune in because I've been posting every week. And then all of a sudden I disappeared. But I literally was on my couch sleeping for weeks and weeks and weeks and just like allowing the baby to grow. I'm super tired, super fatigued. And that was like my main symptom. Another symptom on and off were like headaches, which I don't really experience too often, so that was very annoying, but they didn't last too long, thankfully. Then there was a week where right before I got to the 10-week period, I was feeling really, it was like a Monday or Sunday, it was a Monday. I felt the worst, like it didn't even feel like cramps. Like I just felt really crazy pain in my pelvic, like uterus area. I couldn't lay down, sit, stand without feeling that really, really strong, intense pain. And I kind of thugged it out for one day. And then I was like, Aisha, you usually thug it out, but like pregnancy is not the time for you to thug anything out. If you feel weird, if you feel pain, you have to call a professional and talk to somebody. So the next morning, I immediately called my OB. I told them the symptoms and they were like, we can't diagnose this over the phone. So come on in, let's do an ultrasound. Let's make sure everything's okay. So I go in, we do an ultrasound. The baby is fine. The baby is much bigger than 7 weeks when I saw them, because we were like coming up on 10 weeks, and the heartbeat is super strong. Like everything is great and everything is perfect. And she was like, it's growing pains. So she said, because of the fact that I have a smaller frame, I was feeling the growing pains earlier and a little bit more intense than somebody who has like a wider frame, who has a little bit wider hips, all the things. So I was like, oh, so I did essentially have to thug it out after that for like a day or two. But after that, the pain started to be sporadic, and now I don't really feel it, but I know it's going to come back once, the baby gets bigger. That was like the crux of my symptoms for the most part. And then things started to like die down, calm down. I started to feel a lot better as I got closer to the end of the first trimester. And last week we went in on Monday and we did our first trimester scan. So they went to make sure that all the body parts are there, everything looks good. And we did some blood work at the hospital. And then we also did some blood work at my OB's office. And so the NT scan, we did the NT scan, and we also did the NIPT. So we're waiting for the results from our NIPT, and then we're gonna go from there. This was last week. And yeah, it was really good to see the baby again, and this time see them actually look like a baby, like see their feet kicking and them moving their hands. Like it was crazy. And this was at like 11 and a half weeks. It was like 11 weeks and 5 days. And so it was right before I hit the 12-week mark. But yeah, it was so cool. I call my baby my bunny because I don't know what gender they are yet. So I'm just gonna call them Bunny for now. And yeah, I can't wait. We should be finding out the gender any day now from the blood work, and we'll go from there. But whew, that was a lot, I know. But that is the story. That is the update currently on my pregnancy. And I can honestly say I feel so much better right now, so much more energy. I'm happy, I'm excited. My bump is still relatively small, so it's not very exciting right now. It looks like I have like a little beer belly at the moment, but it definitely looks, I can tell it's a pregnant belly and not like just my fupa. Yes, I just want to say, I wanted to give you this. I wanted to give you all these details and really bring you in and immerse you into this experience, because I know you've been rocking with me since the time when I was trying, since I, first talked about wanting to get pregnant. So I got to keep you updated. And I'm just really happy, and I'm going to continue to share my journey, share the ups, the downs, the learnings, all the things, because we in this together. I don't know who is watching, who is interested in being pregnant, or who is pregnant currently and can relate. But I feel really good. I feel really happy and just blessed overall. And so thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting and sharing this moment with me. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback, or just want to say congrats, meet me in the comments section below. Y'all know I love to reply to my comments. I love a little conversation. So thank you. And if you haven't already and you're completely new and this is your first video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I don't know if they still have the bell icon. I gotta check. But that bell icon, so you know my next video goes live. Thank you so much. Until next time.